In the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Uber's metagame, the tier where cover legendaries and Pokemon banned from standard play and overuse exist. A lot of weirder strategies pop up to counter the restricted legendaries that run the tier. Gen 9 Ubers, as flawed as it is, has become a recent favorite tier of mine, and has seen a lot of cool strategies pop up that I haven't seen work in other traditional singles formats. Let's take a look at some of these strategies, but first, a quick announcement. If you guys would like to see more of these types of informative videos, please leave a like and subscribe, only if you enjoy. It really helps me out and lets me see what I'm doing right. The first super unique strategy I've seen widely used is the use of Trick Room without dedicated Trick Room support. In other tiers like OU, Trick Room is a gimmicky playstyle that needs a whole team dedicated to it, with the necessary support to facilitate Trick Room being up and abusers to maximize the little time Trick Room is active. However, strong Trick Room abusers like Necrozma Duskmane and Calyrex Ice can run Trick Room themselves and act as the Trick Room supporter and abuser all in one. Trick Room as an archetype is flawed in singles, given that it needs so much dedication just to be very underwhelming, giving most Trick Room abusers a maximum of 3 turns to take advantage of Trick Room. However, being able to set up and use your own Trick Room means they can act as their own excellent late game win conditions as opposed to an entire archetype. Take for example a team I peaked with a while ago, where I used a double Trick Room core of Necrozma and Calyrex Ice as a win condition in the late game. Necrozma and Calyrex Ice are the two most viable and threatening Trick Room abusers, and both have their own individual merits, with Calyrex Ice's ability to snowball with Chilling Neigh and take advantage of matchups into Ho-Oh or defensive Arceus forms with Terra to flip the game on its head in a single turn, and Necrozma can run Weakness Policy, usually able to flip a game at the drop of a dime by clicking Trick Room and proccing Weakness Policy by being able to eat a lot of crucial hits from +2, notably living a Koraidon Flare Blitz all the time with max HP investment, and always eats opposing Necrozma +2 Earthquakes. What sets these two apart from other Trick Room abusers is the amount of things they have going for them to run Trick Room. Both have beneficial abilities, with Chilling Neigh acting as a Moxie LARP and Prism Armor giving Necrozma invaluable setup opportunities. Both are by no means passive, carrying setup with Swords Dance. And both have excellent coverage, with Calyrex Ice carrying the 120 base power, no drawback ice move with ground coverage for steel types, and Necrozma carries Psychic and ground coverage with Photon Geyser, 100 base power no drawback move that hits through unaware, being an excellent stall breaker to break through the likes of Dondozo and Skeletor. Both also enjoy inviting in Ho-Oh, since Terra Fire turns the disadvantageous matchup into fodder. Their viability is also situational. The reason these abusers are especially potent in Ubers is due to the high power of the metagame, and how every offensive Pokemon needs a speed stat of 135 or greater to be considered genuinely fast. The ability to use Trick Room is invaluable, especially versus Hyper Offense and Webs teams that stack up on these fast threats, in an effort to overpower and outspeed the opponent as a win condition. Moving on, Iron Treads has carved out a niche for itself in the tier, being ranked C on the viability rankings. It's a one-trick pony, in the sense that on a team it serves a single purpose, to act as a defensive Miraidon check. It does this by resisting Miraidon stabs and take advantage of the fact that Miraidon sets up electric terrain with its ability Hadron Engine, and Iron Treads can abuse this by getting a special defense boost from Quark Drive to better check Miraidon. However, the special defense boost comes with a trade-off. Given Iron Treads' naturally high defense stat of 120 and relatively low special defense stat of 70, it has to fully invest in special defense and run a defense IV of 16 so that the special defense is higher by 1 point. Iron Treads being able to defensively check Miraidon is very important, considering it has the strongest offensive presence in the tier and requires every non-viable offense team to use a ground type or 2 in an attempt to shut it down, thus the call for its ban in the recent Suspect test. Iron Treads also has its own valuable utility, with Rapid Spin for hazard removal, something the Uber tier is really lacking and is why Sticky Webs and Hazard Leave offense is so viable. Stealth Rock to set up hazards, Knockoff for item removal, can gain momentum with Volt Switch, and has strong stab and Earthquake. You might be thinking though, if Iron Treads defensively checks such an impressive force in the tier, why is it ranked so low? This is because in reality, it doesn't really check Miraidon all that well. Miraidon can run numerous sets between Scarf, Specs, Pivot U-Turn, and Double Dance. However, on all of these sets barring Double Dance, Miraidon can often U-Turn, which means the opponent can gain momentum on the telegraphed Iron Tread switch, or it can slot coverage and Overheat to also hit Iron Treads, which Treads can eat under the sun, which the most used Pokemon in the tier Koraidon sets. In reality, the only set Treads can truly defensively check is the Double Dance sets, which often need to carry Dragon and Electric Stab exclusively, but even then some sets have adapted to the ground-centric metagame and use Solar Beam, which at +1 cleanly 2 KOs non-assault vest Treads with no boosting item. Additionally, with no attack investment, Treads poses virtually no threat to Miraidon, never being able to OHKO with Earthquake even to the most offensive Miraidon sets. The gist of it is, Iron Treads acts as a very niche defensive check to Miraidon, and does this by running 16 defense IVs to get the special defense boost since it resists Miraidon's powerful stab moves in theory, but in practice Miraidon either has the coverage to hit Iron Treads or can take advantage of it by using it as momentum fodder. Another, maybe not so much creative but more tier warping innovation that popped up before the Last Respects ban was the usage of Terra Normal in the tier. Given the smaller scope of viability in the tier, it's common to see Terras luring certain Pokemon. For example, Scaleshot Koraidon commonly runs Terra Ghost as a means to circumvent the number one form of priority in the tier and its most consistent offensive check, Arceus Extreme Speed. However, the counterplay to Last Respects was not similar to the Koraidon example where it uses Terra to play around a single threat, but rather that most teams needed to exhaust Terra Normal to not get bowled over by Basculegion. If you didn't know, Last Respects recently got banned from Ubers for being an overbearing force on the meta, with Agility Basculegion on web teams being the main proponent given its ability to blow past any defensive checks. Any defensive checks, that is, barring Terra Normal.
Yeah. Last Respects kills.
Oh, okay.
He'd have to be Terra Normal.
So help me God.
No, I'm in a simulation.
Slapping Terra Normal onto any defensive Pokemon acted as a catch-all safety net to never lose to Basculegion teams being spammed on ladder and tournaments. So all it took to win the Basculegion matchup was to preserve that Terra Normal Pokemon for the endgame where Basculegion would shine most, and it ensured you never lost to it. However, this is a rather unhealthy warping of the meta, since the only real answer is to have a Terra Normal mon, since Dark types are more or less rendered unviable when Koraidon runs the tier. It's deemed pretty unreasonable to preserve a whole Terra and an underwhelming, situational, and middling one at that for a single threat, which made Basculegion overpowered since it had such limited and situational counterplay. This is also not to mention that Basculegion began running Terra Fighting to circumvent this issue and be able to threaten its greatest check, E-Killer, which is virtually the only viable normal type in the tier. If you're interested in this topic, I'll link to Smogon post in the description about me arguing with other nerds why I think Basculegion in Last Respects was overpowered. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm trying something else with this form of content, and if you guys enjoy it, please let me know. I'd love to make more of these edited videos about the Ubers tier since there's such little content covering it on YouTube. But as usual with the normal YouTuber stuff, if y'all enjoyed the video, leave a like, sub, all that good stuff, and leave a comment if you think that there's any other weird strategies in Gen 9 Ubers I should discuss in a future video. Alright, peace.